Chapter 14. In the streets outside, the sun had drained the energy from the few men who lounged wearily. The pale, fleecy-haired children played their mysterious games on the curbs and gutters, staring at us with neither curiosity nor malice. Millen trembled as she stepped onto the patterned stones of the street shrine. "Scared, Millen?" I asked. "I know, Everin. You don't, but—" Her mouth twitched in a pitiful attempt at mischief. "When I am with a great and valorous Earthman—" "Cut it out!" I growled, and she giggled. "You'll have to stand closer to me. The transmitters are meant only for one person." I wrapped my arms around her. "Like this?" "Like this," she whispered, pressing herself against me. A dizzying darkness swirled around my head, and the street vanished. After a moment, we stepped into the terminal room in the Master Shrine, under a dim skylight. Distant hammering noises rang in my ears, I thought. "Everin's not here, but he might jump through at any second," Millen whispered. "Where is this place, Millen? Where on the planet?" I asked. "No one knows but Everin, I think. There are no doors. Anyone who goes in or out jumps through the transmitter." She pointed. "The scanning device is in there. We'll have to go through the workroom." She patted her crushed robes into place and smoothed her hair with fastidious fingers. "I don't suppose you have a comb? I've no time to go to my own." I exploded at her. I'd known she was a vain and pampered brat, but this passed all reason. She looked at me as if I wasn't quite intelligent. "The little ones, my friend, notice things." As I walked through the workroom, I couldn't help but feel like all eyes were on me. The chacks with their inhuman orbs and the toys with their faceted stares made me uneasy. Millen, the priestess of Nabran, had warned me to act like I belonged there, but I was still drenched in cold sweat by the time we reached the scanner. Millen wasn't sure if she could focus the scanner accurately, but she explained that it worked like a transmitter and allowed you to see anywhere without physically moving. She pulled out a bird toy and used its tracer mechanism to determine if the scanner was keyed to me or Lyric. As the image on the screen shifted, we saw the back of a man in a leather jacket. Slowly, he turned and revealed himself to be Lyric, but his scarred and disfigured face was even worse than my own. Millen suggested we try to get a look at a landmark in Charin, so we shifted the focus and caught a glimpse of a window in the sight field of the pane. As I gazed outside, a tall pylon and a few uprights resembling a bridge caught my eye. "It's the Bridge of Summer Snows. I know where he is now. Turn it off, Millen, we can find him," I said, turning away. However, Millen's scream made me turn back. Lyric had turned his back on the scanner, and I could finally see who he was talking to. It was a creature with a hunched, cat-like shoulder, a sinuous neck, and a high-held head that was not quite human. "Everin!" I swore. "That does it. He knows now that I'm not Lyric, if he didn't know it all along. Come on, girl, we're getting out of here." This time we didn't bother pretending to be normal as we rushed through the workroom. Half-completed toys were left behind as fingers dropped and stared after us. I wanted to stop and smash them all, but we had to hurry to find Lyric and, hopefully, Everin with him. I was going to knock their heads together once we found them. I had enough of this adventure. I realized that I'd been up all night and was exhausted. I wanted to smash and murder, but I also wanted to fall asleep somewhere. After we shut the workroom door, I blocked it with a heavy divan. Millen stared at me, saying, "The little ones would not harm me. I am sacrosanct." I wasn't sure about that. Her status had probably changed when she was chained and drugged, standing under the hovering horror. But I didn't say anything. "Maybe, but there's nothing sacred about me," I replied. Millen was already inside the recess where the toad god squatted. "There is a street shrine just beyond the Bridge of Summer Snows. We can jump directly there," she said. Suddenly she froze in my arms, convulsing. "Everin, hold me tight, he's jumping in, quick." Space spun around us, and then, can you break instantaneousness into fragments? It didn't make sense, but that's what happened. Everything occurred in less than a second. We landed in the street shrine, and I could see the pylon, the bridge, and the rising sun of Charin. Then there was a dizzying internal wrenching, and a blast of icy air whistled around us. We found ourselves gazing out at the polar mountains, surrounded by their eternal snow. Millen clung to me, saying, "Pray, pray to the gods of Terra, if there are any." She clung so tightly that it felt like her small body was trying to push through me and come out the other side. I held on tight. Millen knew what she was doing in the transmitter, and I was just along for the ride. I didn't relish the thought of being dropped off somewhere in that black limbo we traversed. We jumped again, and the sickness of disorientation forced a moan from the girl. Darkness shivered around us, and I saw an unfamiliar street of black night and dust-bleared stars. "Everin knows what I'm doing. He's jumping us all over the planet. He can work the controls with his mind," she whimpered. As a psychokinetic, I possess some ability, but I have never had the courage to fully explore it. However, in this moment, I was about to embark on an incredible journey. Millen and I engaged in a duel, unlike any other, as she made small movements that sent us falling through darkness, disoriented and dizzy. Suddenly, we were thrust in a new direction, and a new street came into view. The experience was overwhelming, as we moved from smelling hot coffee to being in the midst of crimson fronds and water. We moved in and out of different environments, experiencing the salty air of Shainsa, glimpsing flowers on a Dylon street, and being surrounded by moonlight, noon, and red twilight. The hyperspace travel was disorienting, but I caught a glimpse of the bridge and pylon, and I made a swift move that landed us on the bridge of summer snows, battered and bruised, but alive and where we needed to be. I helped Mellon to her feet, and we stumbled along the bridge, looking for the pylon. We found ourselves in a street with a wine shop, silk market, and small private house. I knocked on the door, and after a moment of silence, it opened to reveal Lyric Archer, who greeted us with a grin and welcomed us inside.